If points Q, U, A, and D are given, determine the values of X and Y if quad is a parallelogram. Now, in this case, we haven't been given a diagram. So let's do a quick sketch to get a general idea of the shape. Let's draw in some X and Y axes. And now we can plot the points we've been given. Q has the coordinates -8, -7. So let's plot this point down here. Even when simply sketching, don't forget to name your point and include its coordinates. We can include this information down here. Then we have point U with coordinates -2, 4. Let's plot this point up here and label it as well. A has coordinates 13, D. We can plot this point up here and label it too. The parallelogram is called quad, so we can see we are considering the letters in a clockwise direction from Q to U and then to A. This means that D must sit somewhere down here. Quad is a parallelogram, which we know has two pairs of opposite sides that are equal and parallel. So let's say that UA is one side of the parallelogram, which means that QD must be the opposite side. The line from Q to U will be another side of the parallelogram, which means that AD will be the opposite side. Now we have a general idea of where D lies. So let's plot a point over here. We don't know the coordinates of D. We can simply name it point D and give it coordinates x, y. Now remember that this is a sketch. This diagram is not to scale. We use our drawing to give us a general idea of what we are working with. From the position of point D, we can see straight away the x-coordinate of the point will be positive because the point lies quite a distance to the right of the origin. But what about our y-coordinate? We have sketched our point so close to the x-axis that from the drawing we cannot be sure if the y-coordinate of D is actually negative. Now please be careful with this. Your sketch is not exact. When we calculate the y-coordinate of D, if we find it to be positive, it does not mean that we've made a mistake. It just means that our sketch is not entirely accurate, which we know already. The coordinates of each point is the most important thing we need to look at. The sketch is simply a guide to help us get an idea of what the shape will look like. So for this question, I'm going to take out the x-axis and the y-axis. We don't need our arrows anymore either. Again, we need to find the unknown coordinates of the fourth vertex of the parallelogram. We know that the diagonals bisect, which means they have the same midpoint. So let's draw in our two diagonals, Q and A, and U and D. These diagonals have the same midpoint. So let's plot this point and call it M. Once again, we can use the coordinates of M to find the unknown coordinates of D. But before we can find D, we need the actual coordinates of M. M is the midpoint of the diagonal QA. So we can use the midpoint formula to find the coordinates of M. Let's say that Q is our first point and A is our second. Now we can say the midpoint M is equal to -8 plus 13 all over 2 for our x-coordinate. For our y-coordinate, we say -7 plus 10 all over 2. Now we can simplify. -8 plus 13 gives us an x-coordinate of +5 over 2. And for our y-coordinate, -7 plus 10 gives us +3 over 2. And now we can close the bracket. Now we can make some space. fill in the coordinates of M on our diagram as well. Finally, we can now use the coordinates of U and the midpoint M to find the X and Y coordinates of D. Let's start with the X coordinate. We can say the X coordinate of midpoint M, let's say MX, is equal to the X coordinate of U plus the X coordinate of D all over 2. The X coordinate of M, 5 over 2, is equal to the X coordinate of U, negative 2, plus the X coordinate of D, the coordinate we're trying to find. So let's just leave it as dx all over 2. Now we can multiply both sides by 2. We get 5 is equal to negative 2 plus dx. To get the x coordinate by itself, let's add 2 to both sides, and we see that 7 is equal to the x coordinate of D. Now that we have the x coordinate, let's find the y coordinate. So we can say the y coordinate of M is equal to the y coordinate of U plus the y coordinate of D all over 2. The y coordinate of M, 3 over 2, is equal to the y coordinate of U, 4, plus the y coordinate of D, let's leave it as dy, all over 2. Now we can multiply both sides by 2, and we get 3 is equal to 4 plus the y coordinate of D. To get this coordinate by itself, let's subtract 4 from both sides, and we see that negative 1 is equal to the y coordinate of D. Now we see that point D has got an x coordinate of 7 and a y coordinate of negative 1. If we can write our final answer down here. Let's do one more example.